We're back. Podcast is back. We are pumped. There's going to be a lot of conversations coming up this fall that we're excited to have. We're excited to share. Tonight's episode with Jake from Hyack Contracting. Really awesome construction company in Greater Vancouver. They've done a personal renovation for me, and I love them. They're sharing. He is sharing a little bit of his story tonight, and it was a really fun conversation. Check it out. Let us know what you think. My understanding of Bitcoin is it is the importance of it, the like reason that people would have money in Bitcoin is like long-term wealth holding. So think of it this way. Banks in the old school days would hold reserves in gold bars, literally fucking pieces of gold. In the new age, they're going to be holding their reserve in Bitcoin. It's not a currency that is going to be used to go buy a coffee or a newspaper or like whatever day-to-day transactions. It's more like a wealth holding fund, if that makes sense.
No,
Versus,
I get it.
And then there's other coins that they call like stable coins that the platform for those are built off of like day-to-day transactions, and the volatility of them, the ups and downs of like the worth of one coin is going to be a lot less than something like a Bitcoin or...
I kind of look at it like this. They're just kind of, people got smart enough that we don't need to, we started with like beaver pelts, right? And then whatever, cash. It's like, why are we carrying this shit around? Even a debit card now, right?
Exactly.
So it's just getting even more diverse, more spread across the world globally. And if you ask Elon, he'll send that shit to Mars too, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Right, Carl?
That's
Carl and
correct.
I are on a different level than Denny right now, right?
We are. Yeah. A little bit slower, maybe.
Yeah. that takes a little, I'm not going to proc. That's it. Let's stop talking about Bitcoin.
Was that the correct way to kind of explain it?
Yeah, I get it. I don't know. I know a bit about Bitcoin. I know, like, obviously you can't trace it because it doesn't have like an origin or like a central bank or anything like that, right? Is that sort of...
No one is governing it.
Yeah.
So every single transaction is traced and is on the blockchain.
Okay.
So is findable. So you can see who owns what percentage of what coin.
I see.
But it's not governed by someone.
And the entire blockchain is copied in multiple places. So for it to verify, you have to pass everything.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes more sense to me than what you were saying before. But yeah, because I get it. So there's verification points throughout there's always this verification point that what this person says can be proven throughout the system, and you can trade within there freely without anybody governing it.
It is very interesting that like this is very futuristic and like technology driven versus the storage of the coins fucking is archaic.
Okay, yeah, that's what it is, right?
It is.
So that's why they have to mine it and they're screwing up Earth on it because
when you purchase coins, you hold them in a hardware wallet. What is that? It's a friggin' USB stick.
Okay.
And you have a password to get into that USB stick, which is what, 24 characters or something?
Yeah, 24 random words.
24 random words. And what if you don't know that 24 random words?
Oh, it goes away.
Then you can never recover your USB stick.
So like it's got to get, sorry, there's so many fruit flies. It's got to get.
So it's a bunch of gift cards flying around out there that you can get your hands on basically, right?
Well, you can't get your hands on it.
But.
Because you need to know that 24 word code to get into that USB stick.
Well, there's a bunch of guys that try and very hard do that, right?
Yeah. You remember that story where there was $300 million on a stick? And it was a special security stick that if he guessed the wrong password 5 times or whatever, it would wipe everything. And
10
he had
times.
4 in or something, whatever. Yeah.
Holy shit. So what happened?
Don't know.
It's gone?
I never heard it.
I think he's sitting on it until technology catches up and he's able to crack in. And just going to keep growing.
Damn.
I mean, at that point, how much are you paying someone?
That's like when you get like a bond from your parents and you got to wait till you're 18 to cash it. A little bit heavier, right? How much was that?
Oh, it was some crazy amount.
It was like 200 million US.
And that was like, we talked about this like a year and a half ago. So now it's probably even higher.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, give someone 10%, right? That's like $40 million, $30 million. I'll crack you. Someone will get it.
I don't understand it
nearly
as well as I'd like to. But what I do understand is that our current system sucks. And this seems like it's going to be better long term. It's interesting that like, what I don't understand is how can anyone be assured that Bitcoin is the actual thing that is going to be the long-term hold?
That's, yeah.
Like, no one knows.
Yeah.
No.
Like what if a system that is designed better than Bitcoin comes out next year? Is Bitcoin go to zero?
It depends if it catches on. Something maybe more efficient with trading, right?
Yeah.
Easier to trade, whatever. Could happen.
That's why it's like a little bit scary. And I don't know, like a lot of people who put a lot of money into this shit, I don't really understand, but it's very entertaining.
Yeah, I know. There's like these young people making some serious money on it, right? Are they not? Or what is that? Some of the guys that, work for me or in that demographic, like 20 to 30, I don't know what they were doing there for a while, but they were all pretty excited about this. And there was the GameStop thing. What was that? When they were driving the stock on Reddit up.
Yeah.
What's going on?
You know that story.
So some hedge fund wanted to short the stock.
Yeah.
Right? So people kept buying it, keep purchasing it. And then the hedge fund lost billions and billions of dollars. And it was all just because people bought it together and just organized it on Reddit.
Whatever. But if you're finding out about that on Reddit, you're too late, right?
Yeah.
I just told them, just save it, man. Don't do that. Yeah. Yeah. No.
Then there's like a bunch of other coins that are just fad coins that have no real backing, right? Like a Doge.
I think it's just a scam. Like, I don't know. There's no long-term plan with it, right? It's just a currency. The way I look at it is like cryptocurrency, if it was like the beginning of the internet, I would say it being a currency is like as the internet, the only being able to send emails, right? But now there's so much more that we could do with the internet, online banking, videos, whatever. I think crypto will start like becoming mainstream and filling.
Well, it's already doing that, right? Because there's already so many different avenues. There's like wealth holding, like a Bitcoin. There is like platform building, like an Ethereum.
Yeah.
Right? Or like other coin building, industry building, essentially. And then there's currency, which is like stable coins. And then there's investing off of
the DeFi.
Stable.
Yeah.
Right?
Borrowing money against what you have.
Carl, you want to talk about banging nails into wood or what?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll talk about anything.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just about to segue into, all three of us combined have no fucking idea what we're talking about on this subject. So let's talk about real estate. Yeah.
Real estate or construction?
The last 18 months has just been like, I don't know if you're the same as me, because I know your industry has been as busy as mine in the last 18 months. I don't know if you're, like, I don't know how often it would be, weekly, maybe, just like sit back, have a beer at night and just be like, man, I'm so fucking thankful to be in this avenue of work. Like, yes, I work my ass off. Yes, I think I've put in enough time and energy and like have built a shit ton of skill to be successful in this thing. But I can't control the fact that some lab in China releases this shit. It's not proven yet, but it seems like that's the number one. We can avoid that conversation for now. But for some reason, our couple industries have just boomed, whereas so many, like, I have lots of friends in hospitality and like brewery owners, and like for 6 months, they were just like figuring out whether or not they're allowed to open.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was a little scary for a bit, but I can't tell you how many times we've said that in the last 2 years. Like, we're lucky, you get to, so we were hanging out like at work still with all your buddies. It's killer, right? We've been pretty blessed, but it's been volatile though. With the COVID.
It's
with work
for us. It's been strange. Like, really, you maybe shed some light on like construction industry, because I kind of have a maybe like slightly insider perspective on someone who's not in the industry, just because I see it all the time, and like my brother's involved in it. I talk to Carl all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it was obviously just like anything. It was weird times, but you just do what you can and move along, right? We were in the middle of that restaurant for Potluck on Main Street. And, they're from New Westminster, and they were like all in on this restaurant, and then COVID struck. About 80% done their project, and it was a guy. I don't know if you know who they are. The guys at Potluck, super awesome guys. Good restaurant. Go and check them out. But yeah, stopped. These guys. One guy was in overseas to get money with investors or something when COVID struck, in the middle of construction of his restaurant, and he was stuck there for like 5 months or something. He was in Singapore when that went down. So yeah, I mean, it stopped a lot of projects dead in their heels, and I saw some companies quit right away, and some companies just ignored it. I think we thought about it a little bit. I was in the middle of a renovation on my own house. I was in a busy time already. So I wasn't even like living in my house when that happened. So it was pretty crazy. But yeah, you just keep going, right? Got to keep going. What do you do? So we did, and it turned out good. Glad I did. Because I've seen a couple guys that quit, and they're still just coming back now. And you're like, whoa. And everyone that kept going did pretty good the last couple of years, I'd say.
I feel like that's a pretty key character trait of an entrepreneur, that like shit happens every fucking day, and the people that are successful just figure it out, right? Like, yes, this is a different Apple. Yes, this is like this worldwide crazy thing that happened that is still going on. But it seems like the people that are like, if you in your head right now think of like the top 5 business owners that you know, how many of them are just people that no matter what, they're just figuring it out and moving on?
Dana White. Remember Dana White? Remember Dana White?
Yeah, 100%.
He was just like, screw it, man.
Yes,
You guys are all, let's just do an island. Let's go. And everyone was like, this guy's an idiot. And now I'm looking at Dana White going, holy smokes, that guy's a genius. He's got that done. He's just wrapped up. Perfect. I was just like, yeah, he called it. He just sent everyone to an island. He just did it. Everyone was like, I can't believe this guy's doing it. And he did. It was awesome.
Was there anything like super strange that was a hard adjustment for you? Because in our industry, I kind of took it as like, let's use this first 30 days to see what the world is going to do and then adjust. Because I don't think it's very, very smart to just like say, fuck it, we're doing this. Like the Dana White thing, I remember at the time seeing him do that was like, seems slightly like off color. I don't know how people are going to take this versus like for our industry, usually March and April are 2 of the busiest months we have in a year. And they were cut to about 1/3 of the typical business we do. But I'm just like, let's see how this plays out. And then going through April, I remember being like, this is not as bad as what people are thinking. We can probably start getting, back to normal. And consumers were saying that as well, right? So consumers at that point were like, I'm working from home. This seems like it's going to last longer than it is that, the government is telling me it's going to last. Seems like my company is going to work from home for a long time. I live in a 2-bedroom condo. I have a kid. Let's get some more space. Yeah. And so like the consumers were almost telling me that my industry is going to get busier. So let's go. Right. Yeah.
Like after a few months or after about a year there, everyone was like, shit, I've been sitting in my house here for
it was like 3 months, man.
Yeah. 2 or 3 months. So the phone started ringing and we couldn't even keep up. Like it was just, everyone needed an office space. Everyone needed another bedroom for their kid because they had not enough room, and then the summer came and they went outside and they needed whatever on their backyard. They needed a deck. So yeah, definitely tons of calls. So people weren't afraid to have a stranger in their house to look at a renovation. But
on my side of the industry, it is really challenging right now. And for the last 12 months, a lot of consumers that are upsizing, or let's say have like bought a house a couple of years ago and were planning to do renos, and now they want to do them because maybe they haven't taken a vacation for 2 years and they have some cash to burn, or now they have the excess cash. It's so hard to recommend people, because I say like, Carl's great for like smaller jobs. If you need like a bedroom like a kitchen and a bathroom, he's awesome, but he's not going to be able to help you till June next year.
Dude, and that's funny that you consider that a small job.
Whatever, right?
Yeah.
If someone says I need what's smaller than that?
People just repair like a specific piece of your siding outside, or something's leaking.
Honestly, I don't even have a person.
I know.
I say Google handyman.
Good luck.
Put an ad on Craigslist. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then there's like bigger stuff. Say I want to do like my whole main floor. Okay, Hyack is awesome. Like a couple companies I usually talk to or share, but then I'm prefacing it with, they probably won't help you for 12 months. And I've never had to do that before. So from I guess my like whole process here is like, from your side of the industry, how are you handling those conversations with people being like, I need to renovate my kitchen? And you're like, I can help you in 16 months from now, 12 months from now, 8 months from now.
This last year, it's been hectic. It's just been like, who can do it? And they'll pay, right? So if you have, I think one of the keys for us having a good year or a decent year was that we had really strong connections with all our trades.
Yeah.
We had, good direct suppliers that we could always rely on, and we could deliver, right? Where I can tell you firsthand that some of the jobs that we got were because people couldn't, right? And then they came to us, and we, and that's okay. But so that's part of it, I guess. But
that's even like a different side of the industry, because like Carl and his company are doing most of the jobs, whereas you are like a GC, right? Seems like you contract a bunch of stuff, and
not
so it's
really. Like
orchestrating.
it's crazy, but like my construction experience is all over the spectrum, right? So the handyman end, like my partner Jameson and I got our start in handyman work. Like, to be honest with you, we did Remax commercial strata maintenance, and learned tons of shit there, man, because we used to adjust door closures for, common area spaces, all sorts of stuff like that. So there's, and I think what you should do if you're in this game, you got to kind of pick timeline wise how much your work should take, right? Like, if you're going to be doing big work, then you have to be patient, and it's going to come slower, right? But you can't, and you can find smaller stuff to fill it in. But I guess if you're a handyman, you got to be on the phone and going to the next guy. And that's what it was when we were at Remax and doing their type of work. They would call us and we would go. And that's why they called us, right? We didn't wait. We went right away. And they would pay a lot of money for that service. And so that's what you have to do, is kind of find your niche, definitely. And if you find one that you like, that's great, and stick to it, right?
When was that? When were you doing the handyman stuff? How do you know Jameson?
So
high school?
I played hockey. Yeah. Well, no, he went to STM. I went to.
Oh, he did. I didn't know. What's his last name?
DeMarkey.
That's right. I didn't know that.
We played hockey together growing up, so I knew him through sports. And then, we've always known each other. And he worked with a guy that did that, actually. So I just started working with him probably when I was about 24, I'd say. And before that, what did I do? Should I start with my construction career?
100%.
Okay. Where did it start?
I want the good stuff, though.
The good stuff. All right. My first job in construction. I started off working for a family outfit, and it was just laboring. And I was about 17. That was my first job in construction. That's all. That's pretty much when I started construction.
And from day one, you're like, this is for me.
Not necessarily. No, I wouldn't say that. Definitely not. I would say it was kind of one of those situations where I had to get into it. And luckily, it was something I loved. So out of high school, I'm an only child, and I was on my own pretty much when I was about 19, 20. So it was kind of the time when your friends are partying and hanging out, but I had to work. And so we did the construction thing, me and a bunch of my buddies. So Olympics were coming in.
Right.
So there was a lot of construction going on. So it was easy to get a job. And so I started off on the towers, right? Doing concrete formwork, which is hard work.
That is probably one of the hardest things you could do in construction, for sure.
It's awful. But fuck, it teaches you how to work hard, man. And I started there, man. The first job in that game would have been at the River Rock Casino. Mm-hmm. So I worked there. I remember stacking lumber at the River Rock Casino, man. That was it. And it sucked. So I saw these carpenters working, and I said, well, if they see me working hard, they'll go there. I started pulling the nails for the carpenters real hard and moved my way up like that. And that was for MetroCan at the River Rock. And then I did a couple other towers for them. And I loved it. It was crazy. Dangerous work. You climb up outside of those gang forums, you're flying tables. I've seen people get killed on the job there. And it was before the Olympics, it was wild, man. Like, it was crazy. Pretty traumatic, man. Like, it was crazy. And so it was fun, but different now. The kids nowadays don't know how easy they got it, man. If there's any guys that are like 35 to 40 that did that, it was definitely different then than it is now, man. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So
I think you can say that for so many industries, though.
Like 20 years is a while ago, right? Like that
Totally.
was 20 years ago, right? I'm like, holy smokes, I'm getting old. But 20 years ago, things were a lot different, right? Compared to now. So, yeah, the rules weren't followed like they were before. Like, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so I did that for a while. My dad was married to somebody for a while. And there was a company, I went and worked for them, and it was a great opportunity because it was multifamily construction. I got to get in on kind of the ground floor with like a smaller mid-range company. I'd say kind of similar to what Hyack is now, right? And so, it was cool. I got to hang out in the trailer with the superintendent, and I actually like a couple of times thought maybe I was smarter than that guy. And I was like, well, that's okay. But one day. And so that was really cool. I first aid attendant kind of guy, and did that for about 2010-ish, I think that was. So from there, so that was really awesome. I did about Fraser corridor, Fraser Street?
Yeah.
17th and Fraser. Mm-hmm. I did 2 multi-story towers there, 17th and 20th.
Yeah.
The Blossom, and I think you sold one there.
I did.
And it was all effed up. And I messaged, I was like, I don't know, don't say anything, but it wasn't. There was problems there with that one because the ground's sinking around that whole area, eh? Did you see that? Did you notice that when you're in that area? Fraser and 17th? So that was like a bog, right? So when you dig there, it's peat moss. It's like warm, like composting peat moss down there. There's like a river down there. And so it's not good for building on. So it was like you had to drive piles. It's like a suspended building that's on piles. So the building's good, but the ground all around it kept going down, right? So all the sidewalks were kind of hanging off the building and stuff after 15 years or whatever.
It's cool to see in the last 2 years, I think I am like 100,000 times more knowledgeable in the construction space of real estate than I was before. Yeah. But I still have no goddamn clue compared to like you guys.
No, but I don't know anything. That's the thing. It never ends.
That's how I feel 100%. Too. I feel like I don't know anything.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's always a faster way.
Yeah.
Especially with technology now, right? Like I'm learning that I'm an idiot with technology, and it's affecting my product, like the actual product now, because I'm spending too much time trying to type on a computer when I shouldn't. Yeah, like you can do so many things really amazing on a computer now, right? So like just it's amazing. So yeah, the getting the billing done faster definitely frees you up to be more creative and stuff, right? So that's definitely something that we've been working on pretty hard in the last little bit here, so that we can spare some time for doing what we do best, right? Not that. So yeah.
I have a ridiculous amount of questions based on that last 4 minutes of what you just said.
Yeah.
Starting with, you thought you were smarter than the guy that you were working for.
No, I didn't think I was. No,
I felt like that so many times in my life. I'm sure like so many people have. But how old were you then? You were like late 20s?
No.
Mid 20s?
No, 20, probably early 20s. 23 or 4.
At that time, are you thinking about, I want to be self-employed, I want to run my own thing? Yeah?
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah.
So where did that start, let's say?
I don't know.
You're gaining all this knowledge, like doing multifamily, like working some cool jobs, learning a shit ton. And then it's like, okay,
I just don't take directions well, man, to be honest. So I like to be, I'm definitely more of a, I do my thing, and I'm a leader more than I am a follower.
Ask Carl what happens when people tell me what to do.
You tell them what?
Bad things. No.
I don't even care if it's the right thing.
You see the real Denny.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of me in a nutshell, right? Yeah. Like I'm pretty much, yeah. Well, I'll admit it. It's in my nature, and yeah, I wouldn't do very well in an office setting. Put it that way, you know.
Jamie and
I'm being very reserved right now.
Yeah.
Trust me.
I'm with you there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie and I say this like at least a few times a year. Something happens and we're like having conversation about the business and we just start laughing. And we're just like, man, we are so unemployable. If real estate ever goes sideways,
no, I hear you.
We're unemployable. We're going to go into a job interview and we're going to dictate, and they're just going to be like, we can't hire you. And we're going to be like, yeah, that's right. You can't.
Does that ever freak you out about real estate though? Like
no,
if that crashes?
It excites me.
Good for you. That's cool. But I always know that there's stuff to fix at least. That's the worst case scenario. I can go fix things.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's obviously not going to happen for me. But yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah. No,
I feel like I've learned so much in terms of just
and your job doesn't define you necessarily, right?
No. But like being on your own, yes, the real estate thing is like the business that we're running, but we're running a business. And those skills are so transferable across industries. It's so cool. And like part of the reason for having podcasts like this is to chat with people in different industries that are doing a similar thing. And there's so many similarities, whether you run a construction company or a media company, or like we've had a few people that run like marijuana, CBD companies on, like, it doesn't matter. It's like a lot of the like traits and like problems that you're dealing with and the like employees that you're handling and like all that stuff is kind of across the board.
And every company's strengths, a lot of other companies are their huge weaknesses. So
totally.
A system, being able to talk to other people is key, right? Or at least opening conversations, feeling comfortable talking. The construction industry isn't like that. So it's tough, right? We're pretty competitive guys. It's a lot of alpha guys that are running the company, right? So you get your egos are out there big time, right? Even with your friends, right? But yeah, it's hard to communicate with construction. Like, how many times I'm looking at them like, I just want to ask that, but I know the answer, they're not going to tell me, right? Like, or maybe they would, but I wish you could do that more. But I think it would bite you. It's tough to say. I don't know.
This is an outsider looking in, but like, it seems like it's almost like a fake perspective on the world in your little industry, because it's like a bubble that is, I'm just going to throw out a random percentage. 99% 99.7% male. Like,
yeah,
you're probably right on. Yeah.
I'm just randomly guessing.
Oh yeah.
Real estate's kind of cool where it's like very multicultural and like, I'd say it's probably more male than female, 60-40 maybe, but there's still like a lot of female and so many different nationalities that are realtors in Greater Vancouver. So it's like a very good mix of what Vancouver is versus like your industry is probably dominated by Caucasian males.
Well, I wouldn't say Caucasian males necessarily.
I think it's changing,
but
changing. Yeah.
The coolest part about the people part of it is so many different people's homes. You get to meet so many different clients, and that's the biggest challenge of the job. The easy part is putting your kitchen in. It's building a relationship with the client, making sure that they trust you. All those things, and that's just definitely the number one challenge is closing. It's just like you go in for your, when you have a meeting, right, to try and get a listing. You probably have a system, but that you go through every time you go to a thing. So that's why I'm here. What's your system? Like, what's your closing deal? How do you close people to use Denny Dumas as their realtor?
I'll back that up with a question of how much emphasis do you put on the relationship with clients and like the customer service versus the product that you're delivering?
I think it ends up almost 100% the relationship. Every single person is so different, and that's what you need to get used to. Mm-hmm. Because if you go in there with one way of doing it, you're just going to get one type of client, and you have to kind of adjust. Some people are going to text you at 10 o'clock at night. Some people are going to say, here's the plans, and they're going to say, call me when you're done, right? Yeah, so, and then they're going to come back when you're done and be pissed about what you did. and so it's, I don't know. It's just trying to figure out people constantly. And my job especially is like, as kind of a general contractor, is trying to figure out what people are telling me, if it's BS or if it's true, or if they're going to actually come when they say they're going to come. Like, it's like it's almost like a game of poker sometimes when you play, when you call a guy, right? You know, the game, and you're like
you're talking about with trades?
Yeah. I mean, I think they're starting to catch on now, but then I don't know. I learned so much from all the people that I've had really good opportunities to work with. And there was one guy, and I don't know, if you say people's names on here and stuff, does it matter? I don't know.
Let's go first names.
Yeah. Dave, this guy named Dave. I worked with him for a long time.
That's good, because there's only
there's a lot of Daves, eh?
But anyways, 80,000 Daves in Greater Vancouver.
One of my favorite bosses, but he was an asshole, right? Like he taught me how to work hard. And I remember it was the summer and the winter of the Olympics. What was that, in 2010?
Yeah. That was such a crazy, awesome winter.
Was it? Good. Oh. That must be nice. I didn't get to enjoy any of that because of Dave. But anyways, so that summer was smoking hot, and he made us work Monday to Saturday, 10s every day, right? And he was the kind of guy. I was like, I don't care what you do. If you're coming in, like if you're coming in an ambulance, I don't give a shit, right? Like, so he taught me a hard lesson that, life's not always easy. Like, you got to work hard sometimes to get stuff done. And if you're at the bottom, it sucks. So you better work your ass off and not stay there, right? Kind of. That's what I took from him anyway. But he always left you liking him, He'd be a dick, but you'd always leave and you'd be like, fuck, you still like the guy, So it's a kind of a tightrope in this game of walking that line of, being kind of direct and forceful with people when you need to be, and still making sure that they want to come back and work for you again, right? And
okay, I have a follow-up on Dave, but I first want to share a story about the Olympics.
Okay.
The
Was
Olympics?
it fun?
Dude, it was
because I had to
good.
take my first aid lessons at night because that's the only time that so I didn't. I got out one night, but it was fun.
I don't know how old you are, but I'm assuming you're kind of in the same age bracket as me. I don't know.
4 years older, I think.
You're 35, 36?
37.
37? Okay. Me and Carl are 32.
Yeah.
So in 2010, we were 21.
Oh, yeah.
Which is literally the premier age to have the Olympics in your city of all time.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was playing basketball at UBC.
Okay.
And I was my first year at UBC. So every road trip, there was 4 first-year dudes on our team. And every road trip, we had to rotate who wasn't going on the road trip because they only bring 10 people on the road trip. And there's 12 people on our team.
Okay.
So the first years had to rotate. So it just so happens that my rotation to not go on the road trip was to Saskatchewan, which no one wants to go there anyway, during the Olympics. And so like coach pulls you into his office. He's like, bad news. Unfortunately, like we can't bring on the road trip, whatever bullshit. And I had to play this fucking, man, it's disappointing. I feel like I had a good week of practice. I feel like I'd be ready to go. And in my head, I was like, fuck yeah. And those 4 days that our team was away were one of the best 4 days of my life. During the Olympics, it was like one night I was in Canada House and I was so shit-faced and I have no clue what happened that night. But you're in like the Canada House with like the hockey games going on, the curling, whatever bullshit. And there's free liquor everywhere. And afterwards you end up on Granville and you get into some club that you have no idea what it is or how you got in there. And people are just feeding you liquor. And it was such a cool experience that our city was just full of like everyone from every country, from everywhere. And everyone wanted to be your friend.
Yeah. It was cool.
It was so cool. You'd sit at a bar.
You know where your buddies were when they were in Saskatchewan?
Do I know what?
Where they were?
Where they were?
Boston Pizza. That's all they got
that's
there.
Exactly right.
Boston Pizza.
Yeah.
Have you ever
Tim
been to
Hortons
Saskatchewan?
And Boston Pizza.
Have you ever been there?
Don't think I have. I think I've driven through.
Jameson and I used to work with this guy, Ross. He's a great guy, awesome guy. And he's from Saskatchewan. And we went out there a few times. There's not much in Saskatchewan about Boston Pizza.
My brother went to school at University of Manitoba in, what's that city called? Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, yep.
Yeah.
And so I visited him a couple times, and I assume it's the same as Saskatchewan. It's just in the prairies.
Yeah.
Everything's flat.
Just so
looks
flat, yeah.
When you go there in the winter, it's minus 40 every day.
Oh, that's brutal.
No, it's not good.
Yeah, Ross used to say, oh, you drive off the road? I said, what if you drive off the road if you go that fast? He goes, well, you just drive back on. Because it's just flat, and it's true.
You're just on a frozen hayfield.
Yeah. No, the Olympics, yeah, that was a good time, eh? You had fun.
It was so fun.
21.
Like perfect age. If you're between 19 and probably 29, it was the perfect age. If you're 35 and you have 2 kids, it's different.
Yeah.
I didn't have 2 kids
Right?
then. No,
Well,
I was
yeah,
only
no,
24 or 25 when that was going on. But
Perfect.
I was in ambulance class or first aid lessons because of Dave. Dave made me take ambulance classes or first aid classes in the evenings. So I didn't get to go out for 2 weeks.
So as a young dude.
Scheduled for, when was the Olympics? When was it? Like the December, or it was in
Late
January, right?
to mid-February kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, it was like those 2 weeks. It was like, oh, Jake, you got to take your first aid again. I was like, whoa, when is it? He's like, oh, it's evenings. 7 till 10 every night and I was like, this is when the Olympics are. He's like, well, fuck, that's it, man. You got to do it. And I was like, oh. But I didn't have a choice. I didn't have like I said, I was kind of on my own, right, Denny? So I had to work. I didn't have the option of being like, screw you, man, I'm quitting, going home.
Hey, don't think I had a cushy life.
Yeah.
Even while I was playing at UBC, I was bartending 3 nights a week.
Yeah.
And so during the Olympics, I was bartending 3 nights a week, which is also fun in it of itself, whatever that saying is. I'm not an English professor.
No.
Those nights at the bar were so fun. When you're working and you're totally sober. During the Olympics, I was at Oscars, which is on Hastings and Boundary in Burnaby.
I know that one. Yeah, I know where that is.
Very like
they have
local
the
neighborhood
float,
pub.
Float Sense is right there now. Have you ever been to one of those things?
Nah, Joe Rogan talks about those things all the time, right? Those float tank
Check
things.
out Float Sense. It's right beside Oscar's there.
I've never done. Have you done one of those?
The deprivation tanks,
Yeah.
remember? No, never.
It. It's killer. Try it out.
How long are you in there for?
Fuck it. You can't even tell, man. It's trippy. No, you go, I think it's like an hour and a half. You pick a set, like however long you want to go for. I've only done it. I've done it about 5 times. Yeah, it's cool.
Would you recommend going stoned?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What day and time do you do that at?
Then whenever.
Because if I have to put my phone down for an hour and a half, I'm not interested.
Really? You should try it.
Maybe in 10 years from now.
You're addicted to the phone, eh?
I'm not addicted to the phone. I'm addicted to making money and business. And
No, I know. But sometimes, though, you got to just take 30 minutes. That's it. You got to sleep,
30
right?
minutes is okay.
So it's like almost like having like a sleep. So that's what happens. It's like
that's why I asked you what day and time do you go?
Yeah, like I go during
Sunday
the day.
at 8 p.m. I'm totally fine doing this thing. Monday at 9 a.m. Not interested.
No. But like instead of if it's like lunchtime, you can go like for an hour. And what happens is because I have some sleeping issues, so it's really good it's like meditation to the max. So you go in there and you'll fall asleep. Like you fall asleep in there. It's crazy. You can't tell which way you are, up, down, anywhere. The water is the exact same temperature as the air in your body, so you don't even feel the water anymore. So you're just basically floating. So it'd be like you're in space, essentially.
Are you making an effort not to move? Like your
if you move like
floating?
this, you'll feel the water kind of go up on your skin. But you stay still.
There's salt in the water, so it helps you
tons of
buoyancy.
salt in the water.
Yeah. So it makes you float, right?
Yeah. And don't get it. If you get it in your eyes, it's pretty salty. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So like in an hour, we'll go by. It feels like 7 minutes, and it's like you just had like a little mini power nap. It's kind of crazy.
And how do they tell you the session is done?
Well, like this nice little music comes on slowly. And they're like, there's like a light come on or something, however it is. Yeah.
What do you think about in there?
Try not to think about anything. Nothing.
So he actually tries to meditate.
It sounds impossible to me.
Yeah.
How are you not thinking about anything?
That's
You're
hard.
meditating about something.
No.
You can't meditate on nothing.
Well,
that's exactly meditation.
Yeah, but
you have to be thinking about something, right? Like, this is personal experience. I've tried this a handful of times, and all I can think about it, like I'll close my eyes and lie down or something, whatever, and I'll just be like, man, it's so black. Why is it so black?
Yeah.
Where's that black coming from?
I'm definitely not an expert in it.
But something is happening in my head. It's not like
that's what you're trying to stop.
Stop.
Yeah, because when you can calm it down for a bit, when you get it back going, it's even better. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah, I can think about nothing for like 10, 15 seconds, but then the trouble is like something comes into your brain, right? And you try to fight that.
So yeah, I mean, you never read anything about it at all?
Read about
like
flow tanks?
Meditation or like, so you just need like to focus on your breathing or something until you go back, right? So if you start thinking about real estate or whatever,
I just believe that meditation is different for different people.
Absolutely.
I don't believe
100%.
that thinking about nothing for an hour and a half would be at all beneficial to me. Maybe I'm
not
wrong.
at this point in your life,
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I talk about meditation as like exercise for me.
Oh yeah.
I like
definitely
exercising for 30, 60 minutes a day. And it is so good. And that is where I feel like the most clear. And I run with my phone in my hand.
Oh my God.
Because it is when my mind is working so quickly and I have so many thoughts and I just have a note open and I just type as I'm running, which maybe is weird.
Something that I'm trying to do more is write things down in my phone or when I have a thought. I got a lot of good ideas, right? And then I forget about them.
All the time.
I'm like, so in the middle of, I got a busy brain, right? So in the middle of the night, I think of a really great idea. I'm like, fuck. And then I get going on it all night. And then I wake up in the morning like, oh shit, what was that I was thinking about? So yeah, I've been trying to write them down more, but yeah. So that's why you do that, eh? You're always writing it stuff down?
I just put things down.
Yeah.
Often, like when we have podcasts that night or then the next night or something, I usually just start a note on my phone that says like Jake Podcast. Mm-hmm. And anything that pops in my head about like you, what I know about you, what I want to know about you. It's just like...
What's on the list?
In your list, there's industry, organization, and experience, extremely important, and see others make mistakes all the time. Oh, so this happened today. Mm-hmm. Our industry is so crazy that I don't know other industries that are like this, where your competitors, you also need to be best friends with because you work with them on a daily basis because there's two realtors involved in every transaction on the buy and sell side.
Yeah, that's crazy. I never really thought about that.
It's weird.
How do you deal? It's like dealing with like an ex-girlfriend like all the time.
All the time. It's weird.
It's either good or it's bad. That's kind of how it goes, right?
It's interesting
I think you just
because
have to get over it. No?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't have a trouble doing it. It's more just like, I was thinking about it yesterday on a run, and that's why I wrote it down. Like, man, our industry is so strange. Like, what other industries are like this?
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that we're competing against other people for listings, because often that's not the case. Or if they are, they're like a few people, but not a lot. Let's say New Est is like a prime market of ours. We rarely compete against a lot of the other big players in New Est. Mm-hmm. It's more like that person who's selling that home is naturally drawn to either GD or Dave Valley or whoever, whatever.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Based on personality.
It's usually
age.
In a smaller setting like that. It's probably a relationship thing, right? More than they're not looking up a person on the internet. They're probably just going with the person they've been selling their house with for the last 20 years, right?
Totally.
So, yeah, I mean, so it's easier to comprehend it there, right? I don't know if it happens in our industry too much, but you definitely go into positions where you have falling outs with people that you're friends with on a business level. So business is personal. And you know, if you're friends with somebody and he screws you in business and he tells you it's business, well, he's still your friend and he still screwed you. Like that's how I look at it. So it happens, but not that it doesn't happen to us very like that. It's more like for us, it would be like if somebody didn't come through for us, and then then you don't use them again or something like that, or you feel a little bad. But
then, because I brought that up to Carl before you got here, mm-hmm. and the kind of idea that we thought of was it's more like subcontractors, where you have the relationship. You're not necessarily, they're not part of your business, but you have this relationship with them that you like commonly work together, but you're also doing your own thing. But you never really compete against them, right?
Yeah. There's also this, there's definitely some of that happens where it's like, they feel like you should give them this or that. I guess so, right? I don't know. I try not to pay attention to it. I just pick what I think's the right thing to do, and I just do it. And if you don't like it, well, don't work for me. What are you going to do, right? Yeah. Tell them, and honesty honestly pays off. Like, that's, I think a lot of the tradespeople that have worked for Jameson and I will say that we're pretty honest. Like if something happens and like it doesn't really happen very rarely, maybe somebody doesn't pay us on time, we'll just tell them, right? Like I'm not going to lie to you and just be honest. Like, and it works most of the time. People would rather hear the truth. And
I think about that all the time. And
I learned that from Jameson, 100%. Like he's just like, I hear him say stuff and I'm just like, wow, good for you, man. He just goes in there and so this is what it is. And I'm like, yeah, good. Yeah. And instead of trying to sugarcoat it and make it sound better than it is, no, it's going to cost you this much, and that's how much it's going to cost, and take it or leave it. And then there's just no bull after that, right?
It's funny that I think the natural reaction for a lot of people, and myself included, is I need to make this sound appealing to who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Versus what I've learned in this 7.5 year career in real estate is I need to tell people what is actually going to happen, and they're going to respect me a hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
And I also, for my own personal like pride, I am way more comfortable being wrong than I am in knowing that I'm expanding the truth. And where for me it happens often is valuations of properties.
Mm-hmm.
When we know we're going into a listing that they've already met with 3 other realtors, I'm going in there and I know the value of a property, especially if it's in New West or Burnaby or the Tri-Cities. Like we know those markets so well that I'm going to tell you what it's going to sell for within like a $25,000 gap, which is ridiculously small in these crazy markets. But I know that other realtors that have gone in before me have said higher numbers.
Oh yeah.
Because they just want to get the listing. And so I'll almost address it in listing appointments being like, look, I know you've probably heard numbers between 1.2 and 1.3.
Yeah. Based
on these 7 things, like I know that it's going to sell in this little range, and I'm totally fine being wrong, but I never want, and I think about this all the time going into listing appointments, is like, I never want to be the guy who says a number that I don't believe in.
Definitely.
Same thing.
Yeah. I mean, like, we've lost lots of opportunities just because we wouldn't tell them a number a little lower. I mean, it's just like crazy to me. It's like, you just want me to say it and you'll let me do it, but it's going to cost this much though, you know? Like, it's like, you have to, I mean, why? Because you're just going to be in a mess at the end, right? So it's not worth it. So,
what percentage of your jobs go over the number that you think it's going to go?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of the times, well, we do a lot of older houses, right? So a lot of people, they'll call us up and they'll say, hey, we need a new kitchen. And we'll go in and we'll have a look at their kitchen and say, yeah, you need a new kitchen. But before you put a new kitchen in here, you're going to need to do some other things. Like you can't just hook up a sink to this, you know. So then you open up this can of worms and you've spent, you know, so essentially you're spending twice what you would prepare to spend on your kitchen before you even start your kitchen. So, you know, our company definitely will tell them that, where, you know, maybe someone else won't and they'll just put a kitchen in. Yeah, so you have to make sure that when you're spending your money on your house, that is going in the right places. You know, you can't just move walls, you know, around without making sure that there's a foundation underneath it, right? That's going to hold it up. So people do that.
An important thing that a lot of people don't think about is like updating the systems of your home, whether it's like electrical, plumbing, whatever. It adds value to your home. So if you're doing a kitchen reno and your contractor says the plumbing is all fucked up, like we need to update some of the plumbing too, and it's going to cost an extra 10 grand, but it's going to help prolong the life of this new kitchen that you're putting in. It's not the contractor trying to fuck you out of 10 grand. It's the contractor trying to save you money.
I don't understand. It's not like I get the 10 grand. Like it goes into your house, right? Like it's so. I mean, and if we're telling you that, it's normally a good thing, because if I can leave it in there and find more ways to make money in my pocket, but that's a decision that we definitely make. You have to make, because we're never going to put our stuff in there and then have a pipe leak above it and go into your kitchen that we just did, and you know, that's just not the right thing to do. So yeah, you gotta make sure you know what you're doing when you go, especially into these older houses. New construction now is just about staying up with the next thing, right? So it's step codes and trying to improve on things. And that's cool to me too, right? Trying to build a better mousetrap is an interesting thing to me as well.
Sure.
Trying to solve problems is fun, and also trying to go in that direction is fun too, right? And learning how to build better and not just fix better, so to say, right? So, you know, there's all sorts of new stuff that's always coming in to the industry for older houses too, right? So there's lots of new systems. The heating systems are super complicated when you get into older homes. You know that when we worked on your house there. Yeah, that's game changing all the time. It's like cell phones, right? Like, there's a new thing for that every year. So that's something that's a little bit of a thing, that you're thinking about. Like, everyone went to the hydronic heating, like the in-floor heating, which is kind of irrelevant now with the step code, right? Because it's not turning on in these houses because they're so efficient now. So that's all. It's so many different things are happening in the industry with the new construction. That's an exciting place, but so it's all interesting stuff. Yeah, I don't know where I was going. I just rambled there.
It's okay.
Where did that go from?
But based on that story, I have a compliment for you. I love companies that are built off of like, we're going to do really good shit, whether that costs us a little more and our profit suffers slightly because of it. That's fine. But long-term, this is going to be the right. Long-term, this is going to benefit us better. And that's the way that I kind of think. And with that 4 or 5 Second Street, I remember they did an inspection and the inspector, I'd say, was mediocre.
Who was it?
But he brought, we're not going to say that. He brought back like a few things that, again, like I didn't see the ins and outs of the reno. So I don't know. And he's like, hey, the dimple wrap doesn't go all the way around the foundation. You guys said it did. And I'm like, okay, like where? And so he gave me this specific example and I called you. And he said, for some reason, there was a moisture meter reading that was higher in that location than another location. So he's like, it's because they didn't do the dimple wrap. You got to dig it out. Blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't know what that means. So I called Jake. I'm like, this is what he said. I don't understand. Just tell me what the problem is. He's like, no, it's because there was an old driveway that was going down there. There's a concrete wall thing coming out of the foundation. And so we had to roll the dimple wrap around it. Like, otherwise, we're going to have to cut out the concrete.
No, I remember that. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So we just dimple wrapped around it. Okay, that makes sense. And then there's another corner, remember, that had a high moisture reading and there was like a little bit of a stain on the baseboard or something like that. And I said, I don't know what's happening, but apparently this reading is higher. Looks like there's some water coming in. And his initial reaction was, don't worry about it all. I'll come over and I'll figure out what's going on and I'll fix it. Like, don't worry about, there's no cost involved in that. We'll figure it out. And there ended up not even being a problem, but just that was the initial reaction is really cool. And I love that because that's our reaction all the time with like clients, like moving into a house being like, hey, it's not clean. And we're like, no problem. There's going to be a cleaner there in 20 minutes, or whatever. But I love that was the initial reaction rather than a lot of people in those situations.
Sales gimmick. Well, not gimmick because it's not a gimmick at all. But that was what we did when we were small. Like Jameson and I did this in Vancouver and all. We've been working on. But when we came to New West, we knew this is where we live. We want to bring to the community too. We don't want to just be making money. We want to do good work. Our kids are going to walk past it, right? So we would always just say to people, you pay smaller scale jobs. We're not talking what we're doing now necessarily, but pay us when you're happy. That was what we'd always say to people. They'd be like, oh, when do we pay you? Can we start paying you? We're talking fences, Denny, not that long ago. like we did that. We were doing kind of the renovation game in Vancouver, right? On a fairly decent level. We're doing about 3 or 4 bigger renovations a year sort of thing. And then when we came to New West, Jameson and I started Hyack, we just started from nothing, right? Why not? Just 2 guys. That's what it was. It was Townsend Place was our first job. Yeah. And we built the front porch together and we're like, here we go. And we just said, let's do it. And that was it. And we tell people, pay us when you're happy. So we'd be like, that was it. So, and then, so that being said, definitely we don't leave now until they're happy, right? So even if it sucks for us a lot, and there's a lot of biting of the tongue, a lot of, so it's encouraging each other to go and just get it done for them with a smile. And you go along. It's worth it. It's worth its weight in gold all day long. And there's not that many of them. There's just the odd one, right? That they're just not pleasable, and it's unfortunate. And you just do your best for them, and that's all you can do. Move along.
It's I think it's a really good lesson to learn early in your career if you're an entrepreneur.
You're going to beat yourself.
It doesn't matter what you think. It only matters what the client thinks, right? Because if the client is unhappy, even though you did a phenomenal job and you did exactly what they wanted and they're unhappy, they're still going to tell their friends that they're unhappy.
Yeah. I learned that we used to do this handyman work, right? Without going back to that. And Michael Wojtowicz is his name. I can say his last name. He's an awesome guy. he's or can you not? You got to bleep it? No, anyway, he did handyman. He was like a super religious guy. He packed the lunch to work. He was super awesome. Such a nice guy. And it was kind of super awkward though. You'd take it to Tim Hortons and like bring his own lunch in and sit down with it. It was whatever. Anyhow, but he used to say to us, you can do a really, really, really awesome job. And if you leave a mess behind, or they're going to look at the mess, right? So it's kind of the same thing. You know, if you leave a mess, that's what they'll notice, right? So, you know, you can do an all right job, but if you look good doing it, then that's a lot of it too, right? So if you do both, then you got it figured out a bit. So,
like exact same message we talk about in our business all the time with our team is like the last, like finish the transaction. And does that mean that the transaction's done when the contract is done, when you get keys, or what? So for us, it's like contract is one thing. They're pumped. They got a house, whatever it is for a buyer. Possession day is another thing. They're moving in. If it's messy, we need to figure out how to make it clean. We need that possession day to be as good as possible. But then the lasting impression is like that 2 week or 6 week or whatever follow up on them.
Yeah.
How are you loving the neighborhood? Have you moved in? Any questions you have about the home? Figured out the alarm system, blah, blah, whatever. And those like extra little follow-ups down the road after the actual move-in date.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, are so big. And they just appreciate them so much. And if one little thing went wrong, like let's say the house wasn't as clean as they wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Those little follow-ups of like asking about it versus them telling you about it.
For sure.
Are huge.
Oh yeah. Just you're thinking of them. So they're people like it when you think of them, right? So
especially like in our business,
it's one of the things that pains me is when you can't get to people sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't please everybody, right? All the time. So it's difficult.
In our businesses, what they're doing is like such a big financial investment, right? They're either buying their biggest asset that they've ever bought before in their entire life, or they're adding $300,000 worth of value to the biggest asset that they've ever bought in their entire life.
Yeah,
right?
And you have to kind of bring yourself and put yourself in their shoes all the time, because to you it's a Tuesday. To them, it's like a big deal, right? And
we've been thinking about this
so
for 3
it should
years.
be a big deal to you.
Finally saved up enough money to do this.
This one on Manitoba that we just finished up is 35 years in the making for the fellow that just finished those 2 old ones.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's been on those for like 35 years. That's his dream. So it was pretty cool for him to finish that finally, right? So, I mean, you got to put yourself in their shoes sometimes, right? When they're staring at you and they're wanting to see it done right, you're like, yeah, well, it's because it's their house, right? They care. So you got to understand that sometimes, right? But so showing that you care definitely is a big game changer if you're self-employed in anything you do, I guess, right? Would you say across the board? And reiterating that.
As long as going into any situation with the thought process of like, this is a paycheck for me is just such a losing attitude versus like the relationship is what is going to help our business long-term.
Definitely.
So whatever it takes for the relationship, whether that is paying $300 for a cleaner, whether that is going back to a job 2 weeks after you finished because they didn't like something about it, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that relationship long-term is huge.
Well, especially for you guys, right? You guys are definitely, well, I mean, I think our businesses are probably pretty similar, right?
I think they're very similar.
Yeah, like for returning customers and stuff, right? You get your
and word of mouth referral.
Word
right?
of mouth is huge, right?
Yeah.
You get people to get their families involved.
That's like 100% of your business.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
It's
past clients and referrals from past
family
clients.
members, cousins, uncles.
Part of your what is your position? Like, what do you do generally?
I do mostly kitchens and bathrooms, but we do all types of things. I'm a project manager.
So you're a project manager.
Yeah.
So what's your day-to-day look like on a regular day?
A lot of dealing with people.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned earlier, I think that's the hardest part for sure, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, I can lay tile or whatever. It's the same thing. But do you like the tile? Do you like this design? Do you like the way this turns out? That's the hardest part for sure.
Yeah. So the people are dictating their job. They got to realize that. Like, I am a pretty efficient person if you give me the right tools and the right information, right? But I can't guess anything, right? So, yeah. So when you make changes, it's expensive. When communication breaks down, it's expensive. But if you have a client that knows what they want, and they're prepared to get it there for you and make things happen and do it, and you can get a lot done quickly. It's pretty amazing when you get people working together. Or if they let you do it with some good drawings, that works really well too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's the toughest ones, I'd say, would be the ones that get in and want to try and save money doing your job. And you're like, that's not going to save you money. Mm-hmm. You're just going to slow me down from doing my job. Would you say so? Yeah. I found this part. Can you make it fit with that part? Or if we do, or say if I do this, like, no, that's my job. Like, just
because you have a process, right? You've been doing this thing for so long.
They have their electrician or whatever, right? So
I've been there many times.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you get really good as a business owner, the egos are aside, and more of my goal going into appointments is I want to assist with this person making the decision that is correct for them.
Yep.
And so many people, assuming based on what you just said, in your world too, they don't know what the decisions are that they want to make. They don't know the finishes that they want to pick. They just know that they need to update this kitchen. They need to do that. They want to do this, right? But they have no vision. And it's the same in like selling real estate. Is they know they want to sell. They have no idea what it's worth. They don't know the direction that they want to go. They don't know how long they want to be on market. They don't know what that experience is supposed to look like. But if you paint the picture really early,
mm-hmm.
It comes back to the honesty of like, hey, you want $850. The last sale was $799. If we listed $850, that's totally fine. Just be prepared that it might not work out.
Yeah.
Versus at the beginning of your career, for me, someone's like, $850. I'm like, done. Let's do it. I'll give it a whirl. Like, let's try it out.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of $1 Million Listing. Have you watched that show?
100%.
Yeah, that's a pretty good show.
Dude, some of those guys I respect so much.
Yeah.
Like, they're really good at what they do. And they're also kind of actors, but they're also...
But it's kind of what it is, isn't it, a little bit? Kind of, a little bit? I don't know. It seems like you got to have a bit of a character going when you're doing the real estate.
It's an interesting conversation, to be honest. It's... I never feel like I'm putting on a show, but I try to describe it as like I'm tuning into different aspects of my character and my personality.
Yeah.
Based on what that individual is looking for.
Okay.
So like some people just want numbers and they want you to tell them what to do, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Other people want you to be their best friend.
Yeah.
And so I feel like part of being...
But what do you like though?
I like helping people.
Yeah.
I think it's so much fun to like show someone an offer and then be like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Right?
Making people happy. I like
the whole process, right?
Yeah.
And I like educating people through the process, and I like them finishing the process and be like, man, that was a big success.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So to me, I feel like, I think we were talking about this maybe earlier and I didn't mention this, but like hospitality for me was a huge eye-opening experience that I bartended for 5 years. And you just have to figure out how to communicate with so many different varieties of human beings, construction workers and like ladies on their Friday night out, and like 19-year-olds who are just out there to get shit-faced, and like this guy that just got divorced and he's pissed off as shit and he wants to drink 16 beers. Like it's just it's an array of humans.
Oh man. Yeah. And that, like, I keep going back to this job with Remax and how many people we got to meet throughout that was definitely a huge help in what we do now when we walk into meeting somebody. Because you go into a new person's house every single day, see how they lived, it was crazy. You know, you go to Yale Town to the penthouse, and the lady would be like, "I'm out the door," and she'd toss you your keys with the fob on it and say, "Leave them on the thing." And there'd be like a Ferrari and a Porsche on there, and you'd be like, "Okay," and you'd hang out in this $7 million apartment. And then the next day, you would be in this tiny little apartment in Richmond, and it's the grossest thing you've ever seen. And there's a guy like thinking you're going to steal his like Pokemon cards at the corner, and you're freaking out that he's going to stab you. Like, it's like, so you had to deal with so many different types of people that that was definitely what I took from that job. And then, you know, obviously the work was cool too, but the learning from learning people like that was interesting.
One of the thoughts in my head for any meeting is, I know all the information, but my goal of this meeting is to present it in a way that they understand. So it's like,
at least you get to know all the information going in. So like we're going in and we don't know anything. They go, "We want a kitchen done." So we got to try and juggle
you know
the fact.
but okay, I'm coming at it from a perspective.
Yeah.
I know what your home's worth.
Yeah.
I know the right way to market it to get
you know
the
what you're
best
talking about
product.
when you're talking about real estate.
I'm confident in terms of how we market, how we sell, the whole process. I'm confident in that. I don't know your situation necessarily as a seller. I don't know what you're trying to achieve, and you learn.
Yeah,
and that's kind of like what you're trying to get out of that first meeting, but you know all the answers. Someone says, "I want this kitchen." You know that it's going to cost $80,000 or whatever.
Yeah, that's the thing though. That's the thing.
You do an estimate and the walls are still up.
No, but they show you a picture of a kitchen and they want that, and you go, "Well, what kind of wood is that? What kind of tap is that?"
But
in
that first meeting, you can say, "I don't know what kind of wood that is, but if you want to use this type of wood, it's going to be X amount per cabinet.
Yeah,
if you want this type of wood, it's going to be three times that."
We can definitely, right? Yes, for sure. So, I mean, the ideal situation where if you could have complete trust, right? And they could tell you exactly how much money they wanted to spend, and you were an honest person as well, you could give them the optimal products, right? But it's just coming to that mutual point where you think you're at, and, together, that you're going to get both of, you both feel comfortable at that point that you're going to end up at the product and the price point, right? Does that make sense? Or no?
It's a really interesting conversation for a lot of like entrepreneurs and people running their businesses. Like, when is the conversation of cost come up? Is it at the beginning?
It's the toughest part. It's like, hey, when do you say, "Okay, how much money do you want to spend, man?" Yeah. So how do you break into that? Like, it's tough. Sometimes you're feeling kind of, good about yourself that day. You might be like, "Let's just get to the chase," right? I feel like, it's a feeling thing a lot of the time. Do you find? I don't know. It's different for you. I guess you have to tell them at a point, like
usually it's pretty
numbers.
Early for us. We just say, in terms of our industry, I'd say, if there was a line right down the middle, we are slightly above that line in terms of what we charge for commission compared to all our competitors. There's lots of people that charge more.
Yeah.
And there are definitely discounters that charge much less.
Yeah.
But we're happy to just share that. Be like, this is what we charge. We offer a premium service. if you're interested in a premium service, that's great. If you're not, we're not the right fit for you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's what you should do. You shouldn't sacrifice what you do and what you provide, and that's it. If you're doing a better job than most people, you should get paid a little bit more, and it should reflect that when they're looking for somebody, right? Like I look at it, if I'm like $10 more an hour, like that's not that much, but say you were, you'd be like, well, they must be good, right? And then you got to prove it, right? Every time, sort of thing. So that keeps you motivated to do it, right?
It's a different human that you're then attracting to work with, right? Like a lot of the times in my life, I consider I'm willing to pay for quality, whatever that is. If that's someone coming to clean my house for like once every 2 weeks, if that is someone fixing my car, if it's going to be done properly, I'm willing to pay way more than if I'm really confused about what just happened and I need to go back there in 2 weeks.
Well, if you start at the cheapest guy and then you grind them, you're obviously going to get a pretty shit job,
product,
right? Like
totally.
Like where you started with the crappiest guy and then you give him a hard time about it. Like, come on. So, I mean, we in our company too, we overpaid our guys, like at the beginning, started them off at higher, because most of the guys that work for us are carpenters, right? Like young, like apprentice carpenters, but we ask so much more than just a carpenter out of these guys that we had to, kind of step up to the plate and pay them a bit more money than just a guy that goes and frames for a framing guy every day. And so it was a waiting game with those guys too, right? And some of them, it's really paid off. And you obviously have to learn that you're going to lose guys and guys are going to come and go. But hopefully you still keep that core going. And it's like, I always look at it like a hockey team almost, right? Denny, it's like building like a hockey team. You got, it's kind of true. It's fun, kind of, right? You're like, because you lose like a big guy sometimes. You're like, I got to fill the spot. What's going to happen here? Maybe I got to slide in there for a bit and then work this guy up, train him. And then, so it's a lot of juggling. It's a big juggling match out there.
It's a constant struggle in small businesses. Like, how many employees do you have?
Right now?
Or let's say you and Jameson included, how many are on your team?
Well, we have a new guy starting next week that's not going to swing a hammer. This is first. And so there's, right now, I think we've got 6 guys.
Okay. So you're
we
very
just
similar
lost 2 or 3 and we're okay with it. Yeah. Cause we're definitely kind of leaning towards, quality, kind of, we need some time right now just to kind of work on that and just make sure that this company's run really well and smooth things out and just make sure that it's, going to sit and do well for a little while and do good things for a long time. That's what our plan is with Hyack, right? So, yeah. So right now,
I think as a business owner, you have to look long-term. Your ideas and your decisions on a day-to-day basis have to be based on what is going to be the best for the long-term vision of this company.
Yeah.
And if it's not, if it is what's going to be best for the paycheck over the next 6 months, it's going to lose. It's not going to do well, right?
Yeah. I mean,
you're not going to treat your employees well. Like you said at the beginning of the company, you paid guys more than you probably should have.
Well, I wouldn't even say that. No,
whatever
but,
it is, right?
But I mean, they all earned their money.
But let's say a carpenter deserves $25 an hour. You paid them $28, $30.
Sure.
I'm just making up numbers.
Yeah.
You get to demand a little bit more out of that guy.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Hey, you can go work for XYZ company.
Yeah.
And make $25. I'm going to pay you $5 more an hour, but I'm going to look over your shoulder and make sure everything is really, really quality, because that's what we're telling our customers. And that's why you get paid $5 more an hour.
Yeah. That, and you're not just going to, we also have to teach them to do more than just carpentry, right?
Sure.
So we're doing, we want them to learn to be builders. I mean, and starting off, as a carpenter is a good, most of them are carpenters. The builders who started off as a carpenter, generally speaking, or or you usually skip that and go right into development, right? But I think being a builder is different than being a carpenter because it's a position. You're directing the people. It's completely different than just nailing things into a wall. It's management. It's totally different than carpentry. Carpentry is yelling and screaming and quick and fast and dirty, right? And it's fun and it's, beers at lunchtime and it's cool, right? But you can only do that for so long and it'll catch up to you, right? And the idea is to do that and make it, you see who you're working for and they always, it's always the same. It's just you get to the next level and you want to do the next big thing and move along up, and you're just going to always struggle. If you're in an entrepreneurial type of guy, you're always going to want to struggle. It's almost like that's what you like. It's like a sickness, isn't it, Denny?
You just want to keep getting better.
And then when you get to the next hard thing, on yourself. Like, you're just,
I can keep going.
Or when like we were saying earlier, it's like when you think you're doing well. Like you're like, hey, I think I'm doing pretty good right now. I'm figuring some things out. A couple of jobs are coming together. They closed out. I didn't really have no problem. And then, in 10 years from now, you'll be like, well, you thought you knew everything then, you idiot. You didn't know anything, right? And that's the truth, right? Yeah. And then once you realize that, then that fire will just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can't get it. I don't know. Then it's done. Ask my wife. I drive her absolutely insane. But
I think it is like little plateaus where you're like climbing this mountain.
Yeah.
And then you like get some success and then you plateau for a period of time. And then you figure something else out. Whether it's like, hey, I started this business with my buddy Jameson. We're now doing a way more business than we thought we were going to do. We need to bring on an employee. Mm-hmm. And then over that next few months, you're like, fuck, I'm a manager now? What the hell does that mean?
Oh, yeah. You wear a lot of hats,
I need to tell people what to do. Definitely. I got to learn how to be a manager and a leader.
Oh, shit. Yeah. And if you don't know how to do that, that's a whole like screwing up your whole life. And not to mention, you might have stuff in your other life going on too, right? Not your work life. So it can get crazy, right? Like it's like, I always say I get up, I get my kids ready for school, and then I go get the kids ready for work, right? Because it's like, it's the same thing. It's nuts, right? Like it's, but I love it and it's great. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you never lose it, but plateaus. But right now I'd say for me, I got some goals in life where I just want to enjoy it a bit more, right? So, yeah, you got to do that too, right?
Do you consciously take time yearly, monthly, quarterly, whatever to
I haven't
focus on
that? So that's what I'm going to do. So like, I mean, it's been with COVID, right? It's been kind of crappy not being able to go anywhere. We'd like to usually the summers are the busiest time of the year, right?
Yeah.
So it's hustling in the summer. And every winter I usually like to try and get somewhere warm, right? But yeah, it's hard to find time to go away this last couple of years. And a lot of the times I go down to the States. You can't get down there right now, right? So
I'm going in November.
Flying.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can fly.
You have to fly.
You can't drive.
Brady went last week. He went.
Are you going to watch a game down there?
I'm going to say it on record. I will be at one Seahawks game this year.
Oh, you're not allowed to say it on record? Why?
No, I'm just because then I have to.
Because you have to fly down, right?
Oh, you're going to go.
It costs a little bit more money because a return flight to Seattle right now is like $250.
Well, you'll be able to drive down there by then, no?
I just don't know. Like it seems like it just keeps getting extended. So
you'll plan to go down there. I know people that
I'll fly to go down and
I know people that just did it. Yeah. It's not a big deal.
You just got to do the tests. It'll cost you an extra few $100 in tests plus whatever the plane ticket is.
Well, it's just money, right?
It's doable.
Pay them in crypto.
Hey.
See if you can pay them in crypto.
I like that.
This is just crypto. What is that? I don't even know. That's what I say. I was just getting excited that people were starting to pay with cash again. And then we come in and we're starting to talk about cryptocurrency first thing. Honest to God, I was like, it's kind of cool having cash back.
You know why they're paying cash?
Why?
Because it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, so I don't have
3
much
months
cash,
ago,
yeah.
$100 was worth $100.
Yeah.
Today, what's $100 worth? 73.
Is that it?
Dude, we are so fucked.
No, I don't.
We're so fucked. Mr. Trudeau, in all his wisdom, has given out about $180 billion trillion in the last 12 months, 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
Guess who has to pay that back? Guess what a lot more money in your economy does? Makes goods go up.
Mm-hmm.
Economics 101. That is called inflation. August 2021 saw the highest inflation rate that Canada's ever seen, or that has Canada seen in like a decade or something like that. Inflation rate was 4.2 or 4.3% in August.
So what did you see go up in price the most?
So that means like economists, that Canadian economists are averaging out there's like a parcel of goods that they take the cost of those goods versus what they were a year ago, 10 years ago, whatever. Mm-hmm. And that is what they classify inflation as.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There was like a bunch of stats saying like milk has gone up 4% and vegetables have gone up.
People haven't noticed though because they just been clicking it on their phone. And,
I mean,
and,
like,
right? They did seriously. Like
for the average consumer, you're not going to know.
Average lifestyle has like shifted so much in the last 2 years that there's no like medium for you to compare where you're spending your money. So everything was changed, and then all the prices changed too, right? Mm-hmm. And no one probably figured that out yet. So maybe
for a normal consumer that like isn't paycheck to paycheck, that is running a business and doing well, whatever. If you go to the store and buy a fucking crown of broccoli for $1.29, in 3 months from now, that's $1.49. You just buy the broccoli, right?
I don't even know how much.
But 20 cents on $1.29 is what? 15%?
How much does broccoli cost?
Like, I'm just making up.
No, but like really though, do you even look? I don't even look.
No, I just
grab it and I just put it in the bin. It's just broccoli, right?
Yeah. It's a very privileged opinion and thought process to have, which I'm very fortunate for.
Yeah. So that's what a lot of people are like, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to understand that cash is not worth as much as it was a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
It's a very interesting position. And as like a business owner,
don't say that because I'm doing some work at my house and I'm giving everybody some cash for it. It's got a permit at it. It's fine. Don't worry.
But then, I don't know, my thought goes to like, oh shit, I have too much cash. What do I do with it?
Yeah. Buy real estate.
Buy more real estate. Buy crypto. Like invest more. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like we're at the stage.
I don't really have I'm kind of at the stage where money isn't it's kind of transparent to me. I don't really worry about it as much as I should. No, but like you can always make more. You can always borrow it, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's not like you got a long way to go before you're not eating, right? That's the reality of it. So, but it's hard to make it. So when you have it, you should, I don't know. It's I don't know. Money isn't that big of a deal to me, I guess, anymore.
It's, I think it's something you get comfortable in. Complacent's the wrong word for what I'm trying to express here, but you just get like accustomed to, this is my new reality, right? Like, let's say your last 12 months have been X, you're now accustomed to X. And so you're expecting and you're like living your life based on you earning whatever that X is, right? Versus like before I got into real estate, I was working at a bank making $13.46 an hour. Yeah.
And you were stoked, like, and you could go to a movie.
No, I was not stoked. At the end of the month, I had less money in my bank account than I did the month before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was not stoked.
No, but
that was the opposite of stoked.
You know what I mean? But I was thinking more of my privileges. Like, you get used to making, living a lifestyle. And then if you level down, you might be complaining, right? So when I say that, I mean, what I mean by money is not like, I just don't find it as, I don't restrict it. Like I use it to buy things that I want. And that's about it. Like and if you make a ton of it, that's great. You can buy more things that you want, right? But, being happy isn't about making money to me. I think real estate, if it's making more money is going to be the path to more happiness, then that's usually freedom, which is happiness is the goal, right? Money is important, definitely. Making it gives you freedom, which is the ultimate goal, right? So the idea is to work for yourself entirely, right? And that's the thing. And that's where meditation, that's the kind of the same thing. This is where it's trippy because it's like when you're working for yourself entirely, Denny, if you think about it like that, right? How do you do that? When you don't work for anybody.
It's an interesting even thought process to have because when you run a business, I almost think of it as you're working for your employees.
Yes.
Right? Like there's
or
8 people
for your
on our
client.
team. Both. Yeah, both.
Yeah. So for in the construction industry, buying, developing your own house or your own building would be kind of like the closest you could get to being ultimately working for yourself. If you, I guess, have money to buy and pay and do all those things, you don't have to borrow from the bank because then you're kind of working for the bank a bit there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just like ultimate freedom is what I'm kind of like, that's the goal, right? So I don't know. So if you have all the money, the land, I guess, or whatever you're trying to build, you already have the thing you're trying to sell, I guess. I don't know. But that's the kind of idea. No? Work for yourself.
I mean,
ultimate freedom.
Literally the only thing I'm chasing is freedom. And my biggest problem is I don't yet have a full definition of what that means.
Yeah. No, exactly.
And I feel like in the last 2 years, maybe I've been closer to the idea in my head. But then as you get closer to that idea, the idea changes.
Of course. Because right now, you really love like running around selling real estate. Right? But you're not going to want to do that forever, right?
And I understand that. But like at the same time, it's also
but you're always going to want to do something.
I want to explore the world. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to wake up on a Monday morning and be like, I'm exhausted. I need to get out of here and just leave for 30 days. Like to me in my head, that's the idea of freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
I don't know if I'm there yet because I don't necessarily want to be there yet.
No, me neither. No. But eventually, like that's retirement. Like, just we don't really have to.
I don't want to retire. The idea of retirement scares the fuck out of me.
No, but the retirement doesn't necessarily have to mean like stop working, right? Like that's just like, that is retirement. Like that's
the freedom.
Then you're like, okay, what do I want to work on now, right? Like now I can build man, I watched that $1 million listing. I'm seeing these things. And I'm like, fuck, I want to build one of those, but how can I do that? Well, X, this, and that to do that. Okay. That's attainable, but do I want to do that much, right?
Right.
So now you're stuck in this like spot where you're like, okay, where is the path, right? What's worth it? What's not? Not necessarily what's worth it. Everything's worth trying. But if you got goals that are a little bit further out, they're harder to kind of aim dead for and hit straight on right away. You're going to take some time, right? But if you put your mind to thinking in that direction, it'll get there. Like it takes time. It's pretty crazy if you reflect on what you've done over time in your career and the goals you set and you go back in time when you set them, halfway point. You'd be like, oh, wow, I did that. That goal that I set 5 years ago, 10 years later, you'll do it, right?
I think most things are attainable. There's just a different level of sacrifice to get to those different things. So like if you're talking about $1 million listing new LA.
No, talk about say you, Denny.
Yeah.
So you got into real estate. You must have had like a 3-year goal, 5-year goal a little bit in your head. Maybe
I just had
even
this random goal of making $100,000 a year.
Okay. So, and did you do it your first year?
I did in my first 12 months. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. You did it, right?
But
so then you made a new one.
Oh shit, that wasn't a very good goal. I got to make, I got to do something different.
So then you probably guys were thinking we want to do this much this year, and then it was this much this year, right? Mm-hmm. So every year, do you reflect and go, "We did it"? No, you should, right? I do it to myself.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you got to go, because I said, we started Hyack. I was like, we kind of want to take over New West and be like a good institution where people trust our thing and they just call us, right? We want to kind of have a pretty good name in the city and a strong hold within 3 years. And, you can have some pretty tough times and things aren't good, but then you go back and go, but you know what? Remember, you did what you came to do. It's just sucky right now. Like, you got to reflect a bit to get you through the bad times in this game, right? Make sure that you know that you're doing a good job. And you're good at doing that. I think, are you not, Denny?
I'm getting better.
You should, yeah.
I think
something I work on for sure.
My natural thought process is to push success away because I know I can continue to grow. Yeah. It was the same in sports. In sports, whether you won a game or played well or whatever, my thought after a game would always be like, I missed that shot that I should have made.
Yeah.
And then literally, this was me as a grade 11, 12 kid. I would go home and be outside and practice that exact shot that I thought I should have made.
Yeah.
But I missed.
That's hard work ethic. Yeah. I don't know if I would have done that, but I know exactly how you feel. Like I definitely, have you ever, what's that? I was listening to a book. It's like Surrounded by Idiots. Have you heard of that one? Mm-hmm. Oh, you should. Kind of dictates, it helps you with people, kind of color coordinates them into 4 categories. Kind of interesting. And you figure out which one you're in pretty quick. But anyhow, it's pretty cool because, like Reds, or that's what they call them, people that are entrepreneurial type people. They're like, if it can be done better, then it wasn't done good enough, right? Yeah. Like, that's how I am. I'm like, you did great. But now that I'm looking at it, that's exactly how I said it. But I wish you had done it like this, though. I'm always, and it can be hard on yourself and on, the people. So you got to calm yourself down in that position, not be too pushy about your ways, right?
It's interesting because I think about it a different way. I think about it that I'm very lucky that my brain works the way that it works.
Yeah.
Because it's consistently pushing me to continue to improve, mm-hmm. which I don't know if I can.
But how long have you been doing it for, though?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all, right? Yeah. Like, whether I'm year 3 or year 23, it doesn't matter.
Well, I know, but it catches up to you. Your brain will start to hurt, though, after a while, Denny.
We're gonna find that out.
just find out the hard way. Give it some kids. Give it some trials and tribulations, and it gets So but then the brain work is, having a busy brain is a definite great thing to have, right? And it's the engine that keeps everything going, and it's your computer, right? And but it can be your worst enemy too, right? So it's about keeping on point, not getting distracted by all these other things that you want to do, and what you should be doing is important for me. Definitely, that's one thing that I'm learning about in the game. Definitely,
it's funny. I'm learning the more and more I have conversations with different people. It's
pretty much the same.
A lot of things are the same, but the thought processes are the same, but the way that they interpret those thought processes are extremely different.
Yeah.
So the way that my brain interprets that thought process of leaving, let's be super specific with my industry. House for sale, gets 7 offers. I get the offer. I'll use one in New West. Get one of the offers up, $87,000. So that seller makes an extra $87,000 because of the communication I had with all these realtors. I leave that that meeting with the seller after their house is sold, high fives. They're so pumped, like life-changing money for people. $100,000 is a year's salary, 2 years salary, whatever. I'm leaving and I'm thinking about every single conversation that I had with those agents on the way out of that meeting back home, thinking, how could I have worded something slightly different to get a slightly different result? And to me, in my head, I think
you should be like happy, right? You're killing yourself.
I am happy. Yeah. I'm happy with the result. I'm happy with the outcome. I'm happy with how well that entire process went for these people. But I'm also thinking the next John Smith that I have, how does that go slightly better?
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And in my head, I'm spinning it to myself, maybe because I've trained myself to think this way. I'm spinning it myself as like an extreme optimistic process.
Yes. No, I understand.
I'm getting better. I'm thinking, oh shit, I said this to Sally.
Yeah.
I could have worded it this way that maybe would have represented that information to her client slightly different. And they would have said, you know what? Done. Let's do it. Versus like, we're capped out.
No, I agree with you. Hey, we walk out of meetings with people and we go, hey, I think that was it. That's how you do it from now on, right? Yeah. Like you just go in and you say it like that and you just give them the deal like this. And we're like, yeah. And then you go to the next one. It's like right in your face. No, it didn't work. So, I mean, but then there is always that situation. For me, it's optimizing timelines. I'm more like that. I'm like, how can I get this job done a little bit faster? How can I get, like, I can be a challenge to myself. Like, I make it harder for myself sometimes. I'm like, I'll schedule people back to back and just try and push and you shouldn't always do that. But in some situations you have to. We have some work in commercial spaces now where you have like tight timelines and it's like, you got to be in on 4:00 and you got to be out. So you pretty much got to make sure that people are going to be there and get out of there by the morning and they can do their classes and stuff like that or whatever it is. So I really like to try and organize like logistics and so that's where my brain will go to that space. It's like, how can I have improved, on that? I should have put both that lumber order together, next job, I'll do that, right? Or before I see what someone did over there, I'm like, oh, next job, that's going to happen on my job, right? Like, so I'm always looking to optimize my, effect, like the effective, or just optimize our work and just being more effective on the job.
Like you have a lot more scheduling. Yeah. Whereas in my world, it's more like communication timeline.
Yeah. So it's definitely a different type workspace. So yeah, it's scheduling. So I'm always trying to keep things as streamlined as possible because there's a lot of fires to put out. So you want to make sure you have some time set aside every day for that. And so it's always, every day changes, right? So the day-to-days are tough when, they grow as a business, and then so does the fires you got to put out too. So that's where we are kind of now. So we're working on that. We're getting, like the guy said, coming in. That's going to help us with some of that end of it, so that can free Jameson and I to go out and put our hands on what we should be, right?
It's such a fun conversation to talk about, and we should probably get going soon because I know you've been here way too long. It's such a fun conversation to talk about. Like, I had this meeting on Wednesday this week. What's today? Thursday? Wednesday? So yesterday, Tuesday, with a few people around businesses, and one of the conversations we had was like, what is not fun for you in your role currently? And people will talk about whatever it is, like say like this lady's doing accounting work that she doesn't like doing because she's a creative and she's better off being in front of clients. Or like you're better at being a project manager, but you're also doing invoicing and bullshit behind the scenes. And then the question that is the follow-up is like, why are you doing that? And no one has the answer. And then it's like, you need to hire for that position. Mm-hmm. Hire someone to do that for you. Mm-hmm. What is it? 20 hours a week? What is it? 8 hours a week? What else can you take off your plate that person could do? Whatever it is. But a lot of people starting businesses that are early on, I feel like, think they have to do everything and they can't comprehend yet. And it takes experience and it takes a few years to figure this out, that the more you can delegate, the better the business is going to be, the better that you're going to be as whatever you're good at. So let's say I'm really good at, let's say sales. For me, I think I'm good at sales and coaching other people to be good at sales. If I'm also doing hiring, if I'm also doing HR, if I'm also doing accounting,
you're taking away from that.
I'm wasting too much time in the things that I'm not good at that can easily be offloaded to someone to bring onto your business.
100%. And and for me, I'm out there more. I'm more of a salesperson, I guess. I didn't sound like it tonight because Carl and I went out front today before we came in. But I mean, and my partner would be more definitely, he's very, very knowledgeable and closes just as many deals. But I'm definitely more of a louder voice, right? And so we definitely get both spectrums, and it's what makes us great, right? And then making sure that when your company grows and you have these job titles that you hold, that you acquire, manager, bookkeeper, delivery driver, whatever, it was counselor. Like seriously, it's everything.
Probably bus driver for some of your employees. You got to pick them up and
or bail them out or whatever, right? They become full-time jobs to some of them, or at least part-time, and so then it just gets overwhelming. So delegation is key, and being able to do that and having that's it.
Any things you've learned about being in a partnership?
Yeah, tons.
It's an interesting dynamic because I obviously think about it from my personal experience, and like our dynamic is hilariously unstructured. Like it's so funny. We rarely have conversations of like drawing a line down the middle, although there should be. We just we know that different personalities, we're very different.
Yeah.
He's really good at these things and I'm good at these things. So we just are going to do those things. Versus like in my meeting yesterday, one guy runs an accounting firm and there's 6 partners. And he said the lines are so blurry that no one really knows what they're doing. And like one of my goals for the next 12 months is to have these like guidelines set clear in writing, and everyone is signing this piece of paper that they understand that this is their role.
Yeah. But I think that's critical. And that's something that we're working on right now, is defining our roles. Yeah. So that we, both everybody in the company from top to bottom knows where they're going to be. Yeah. And it's going to start at the top and work its way down, obviously. And so we're really excited about being our new roles this coming year, honestly. This last 6 months, we've kind of been riding this COVID storm, seeing what's going on, and it's been good, been fine, everything's great. But next year, I think we're going to have some different people and some cooler things, more time for us to get out there and be more hands-on and free us up a bit to do some other things and be fun. So yeah, definitely knowing what you're supposed to be doing every day and not trying to tell somebody else what they're supposed to be doing when they already know what they're supposed to be doing is something that I'm learning right now. And the more I learn it, the more success we're having, for sure.
It's interesting because I'm at almost the same point where this year...
It's hard to let go though, right? So on some of the things?
Some things for sure, but over time you learn... Man, I don't know why I cared, why I was concerned so much about that small detail. But this year, I would say I probably work the least amount of hours that I have in my career per week, and our business is doing better, which means, so then I'm reflecting my head and saying, we must have done something really right. We have some phenomenal people on our team, which is a big catalyst to that. Mm-hmm. But we must have done something right that kind of got us to this place. And then also that's kind of freeing us up to what's the next thing? Like how does this continue to grow? How do we bring on the next awesome team member, right?
Right. Some freedom to think more laterally and do some more interesting things, right? So yeah, that's the idea for that. That's what I'm talking about.
Versus 2 years ago was 18 hours a day was 100% consumed with what is the individual transaction and house sale that is going on today. 100% of my job was that.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus now, I'd say, the individual transactions for me are probably 50 to 60% of my time, which is cool.
I mean, it was, I started my career. My job title was to go and try to, some mornings, just stay quiet in the basement down at the River Rock Casino, and not talk to anybody. And now, that's because it was, and now you're here, right? So, I mean, everything changes, right? So, the more you do, the more abilities you have to go down and move laterally and do lots of more fun things. So freeing yourself up is number one, right? So I don't know, cut that.
No, I like it.
Good.
I don't know. I should get out of here.
We should get out of here.
Yeah. I don't know how that went.
That was a lot of fun, man.
I don't know.
Pull the mic back to your face. I have a lot of compliments for Hyack, and I've personally and really enjoyed working with you. And I know some of our clients have had really good experience with Hyack. So maybe just share your social website, whatever, where people can find you if they are thinking about rentals.
Just look it up, Hyack Contracting. HYACK Contracting. I think that's it.